Fried lowers that ERA to .60, which is unbelievable. Has not given up a run since he's come back from his IL stint, and our bullpen can't do anything to help him.
Let me tell you the impressive part about that Max Fried stat, and this is in the takeaways from Sunday's game. But Max Fried didn't actually have that great of stuff on Sunday. 3 hits, no runs, walks 3, which is unusual for him.
That's different for him.
Strikes out 5 and 6 2/3, but he only got 9 swings and misses on 107 pitches.
Mm.
And it was one of those games where everything obviously wasn't working. He didn't get a single swing and miss on the sinker. And then the goal is about 30% called strikes plus swings and misses.
Mm.
And he came out at, I think he came out at 18% on the game, but 3 hits, no runs, because he is that good of a pitcher where even when a day he doesn't have his best stuff, he leaves you in a position to get a win. And in this case, you have 2 pitchers, Nick Anderson and AJ Minter, out of the bullpen that combined for 5 hits, 5 runs, and 2 walks.
Mm. AJ Minter had an awful series. He took 2 losses on Friday and on Sunday, charged with 3 runs in the 9th on Sunday's game. That is 7 earned runs in just 4 innings with 2 losses and 2 blown saves in 1 series for Minter. And I've got to I heard his comments afterwards. I know he said, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I felt like I made good pitches. Bub, you've taken 2 losses in 3 games. That is not a good statistic. So I'm not sure what you think you're doing right, but you need to go watch some tape. You need to sit down with some pitching coaches, because what you're doing that you think is right is not right at this point.
And I think something that we see a lot of this sometimes from Brian Snitker. AJ Minter's thrown in 11 games this year already. You've played 21, 22 games.
Mm-hmm.
He's pitched in half of your games. And we see sometimes where this coaching staff tends to kind of ride their guys, and they're a little too rigid with some of these roles. And it's every game where Atlanta has a lead late, they are going to Minter in the 9th, and it doesn't matter if he threw twice in the last 3 days or if he's doing a back-to-back or anything like that. And I'm starting to wonder, do you need to be mindful of the workload on this bullpen so early in the season? You lost Colin McHugh. You lost Lucas Letge. Mm-hmm. You still don't have Raisel Iglesias back. And so you've been working shorthanded out of the pen, and Minter is the main one who's been taking on that extra load. And at this point, it feels like you kind of need to try to find a way to work in some other guys. Dylan Lee has 11 appearances.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Chavez has 11 appearances. You've got to find a way to work in some of these other guys, whether it's a Michael Tonkin, whether it's a Joe Jimenez, Danny Young. You've got to find a way to get some of these guys to take on some more of this load, so you're not relying so heavily on Minter and Lee and Chavez.
Yeah, because if you're big on graphs, if you look at Minter, he is definitely trending down. You and I were talking about it dating back to the Cincinnati series, even though Atlanta looked good and walked away with a sweep in that they still – Minter had he ended up getting a win after giving up a run, and then he had another blown save that, it was no decision. So for him, it was no decision. So he is, as you said, maybe he's being used too much. Maybe that's why he thinks he has good stuff, but the arm is just not there. What he thinks is working is not working. I mean, but 7 earned runs in just 4 innings. He only gave up 9 earned runs all of last year. So he's not going to be able to better that. I don't think there's just too much baseball left and too much for him to throw, unless he just absolutely turns around or he gets some help. It's easy for me to point the finger at Minter, but you make a good point where over the last, let's just call it 4 or 5 series, when you and I look at the stat, Minter's name is out there as throwing in some form or fashion. He's out there as throwing
every other day, just about.
And so it seems like you're right. After Cincinnati, after Friday night with Houston, after Sunday afternoon with Houston, he doesn't need to pick up a baseball during the Marlins series if at all possible. Hopefully the Braves put up on enough runs where he doesn't have to even show his face. And I'm not saying that meaning we don't want to see him. I'm meaning that saying he needs to rest his arm.